I'm Emily Mashak, and you're listening to Tuned Into NoCo, Town Square Media's show that lets you know what matters in NoCo. I'm talking today with Nathan Shaw, the founder of Vindeket Foods, which is a very unique grocery store here in Fort Collins. So thank you so much for joining me again, Nathan.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Emily. Appreciate it.
Of course. Now, we are so glad to have you back on the show. For listeners who missed it, he was here last year. But for those who weren't able to catch you last time, can you tell me a little bit about what Vindeket Foods is and how it came to be?
Definitely, yeah. So we're a nonprofit, basically grocery store here in Fort Collins. So we rescue food from grocers, farms, restaurants, whoever who has food that maybe they can't sell or is, overstocked or maybe a little past its prime, blemished produce, basically things like that. And then we, transport it, pick it up, sort it, have basically a second chance marketplace where anyone is able to come at no cost and come shop with us. But the cool thing is that we're community supported. So basically people have the opportunity to, upon receiving food, they can make a donation to support what we're doing. They can volunteer their time to be a part of what we're doing, but they're not required to. So it kind of looks like almost like a do-it-yourself grocery store, and you never know what we're going to have, and it's just based off of what's out there. Maybe someone grew too many pumpkins, or the store overbought salmon, or what have you, and so kind of all in the name of food waste and in taking care of one another in our community.
And how did it get to be where it is today? I know you're the founder. Where did you come up with this idea?
Well, yeah, it's a little bit of a fun little story. I used to be a big dumpster diver and kind of found that there was a lot of food kind of falling through the cracks and getting tossed, unfortunately, just because of, infrastructure or logistical reasons of too much in shipping or, all sorts of different reasons why. And so I was able, with the help of Serve 6 and a few stores we were partnered up with Food Bank for Larimer County, that, the food bank rescues a lot of food throughout the week, but then there's certain days where they're not open or need a little, extra help picking up food at their donors. And so we were able to start with 3 of the Sprouts in town who wanted to donate food on the weekends. And so I was able to raise a little volunteer crew to go pick up food at the Sprouts. And they're super fortunate or super, able to bless us with all this amazing food that would otherwise be going to the trash that we're able to rescue and give out to folks in our community. And so that was all with the help of, I was able to start Vindeket with Serve 6. They're another nonprofit in town. Were able to host me for almost 3 years until we were able to strike out on our own and become our own nonprofit and have our own little warehouse up on Webster Avenue now.
Now, the last time we talked, you explained just how big of an issue food waste is in not only the country, but in northern Colorado as well. It's about a year later. What is the issue of food waste looking like for us now?
Yeah, it's interesting with the pandemic. I know some of the bigger food service distributors and big warehouses in bigger cities that distribute to a lot of restaurants and schools and university campuses, big events, catering, a lot of those kind of providers and companies just really had a lot, unfortunately, and it would kind of ebb and flow. And so the government was pretty great at offering some different grants through like USDA, and so we were able to get a few of these big shipments that were just up for grabs for nonprofits and kind of government bailouts where they would work with farmers who had food that could have been rotting in the fields because basically all the ordering dried up overnight with a lot of the restaurants and stadiums and all those kind of places. And so all these farmers are growing all this food anticipating the typical supply and demand, and that just like halted, and it's kind of been up and down, up and down. So it's been kind of cool to see some of the USDA programs going through with keeping some of these trucking companies and farmers and some of the bigger companies like US Foods and Cisco and all these able to still get those shipments of food to nonprofits. And there's been a lot of people losing jobs, or work hours been cut in half, and so there's definitely a lot more folks out there that are having a tough time. So it's been really cool to be able to receive some of that excess food, and then also be helping out folks that are having a tough time. So we definitely saw some record numbers in like April. I think there was also a lot of like, just fear going on, where people weren't sure what work was going to provide, or if grocery stores were going to run out of food. Everyone was buying up tons of food back when, March and April of last year, when we were all freaked out about what was going to happen with COVID. So there's definitely been some pushes and pulls, and really kind of wild times happening. But I'm not the total expert in the field, but I'm sure that there's definitely a lot of changes going on, and a lot of people are trying to do their best with ordering and avoiding waste and not growing too much. But inevitably, in our 21st century world, with all the modern advancements in technology and stuff, it's unfortunate, but still lots of things are left over or forgotten about, or it just doesn't make sense economically, and that's the unfortunate part. But fortunately, there's nonprofit food rescues like ours that are really trying our best to make sure that we can do our part to capture some of that food that may be left over on the margins.
Right. And it's interesting. I didn't even really think about the impact that the pandemic could have on food waste. And like you said, nonprofits and organizations like Vindeket are so great at helping this issue, especially in this time. But the pandemic has been difficult on local businesses and nonprofits. How is Vindeket Foods holding up?
Yeah, I mean, it's been tough. When back in, again, when the pandemic was striking, and everyone was pretty freaked out. We just didn't know how the disease or the virus was spreading and all this stuff. So we pretty quickly overnight developed a COVID, a plan, and I guess we were calling it Corona back then. And we switched our whole model to a drive up, and some drop offs, as well as kind of to go, build a box thing. So we had a huge line of cars, and we were radioing in orders, and it was super wild. We basically closed our doors. At first we allowed just a few people in, but as it was kind of striking down, we decided to close our doors and just, have a drive up service, or a bike up or a walk up. And we're able to really move a lot of food and really help get a lot of food out to folks, and really didn't have much waste on our end. And maybe occasionally we'd run out of certain types of items, but we had a really pretty robust ordering system, where it wasn't just a standard bag of food or box. It was, you really got to pick different options, whether you're a meat eater, or a vegetarian, or a vegan, or you just wanted some dry goods, or maybe some cleaning products if we had those. And so we did that from, I want to say, March, April till all the way till like July. And then we started opening up our doors for folks to come in, about 4 or 5 people at a time. We're keeping it pretty minimal, a lot of airflow, doors open, kind of a half outside, inside market. And then we did a partial remodel to our new space to allow, we knocked out some walls and allowed our market space to get a little bit bigger, again, for more airflow, and still limiting the amount of folks in the space at a time, because, we have a pretty small, 2,000 foot little warehouse over on Webster. So it's not quite your average grocery store. We're definitely a little bit more of your kind of little market, or your neighborhood grocer, your punk rock grocery store kind of thing. So so we just been bobbing and weaving with it, trying to do our best to keep doing the things we do best, which is rescuing food and feeding our community. And we're really grateful for the support of local organizations and local individuals who have remained faithful to coming and shopping and making donations to keep our doors open, our lights on, our trucks running. It's been really cool to see the generosity, really, of the public, like stepping up in this time where, we moved during this time. We've been, trucks been breaking down. We've purchased different, refrigeration equipment and all this stuff so we can keep growing. keep rescuing more food is the goal, and keep chugging along. It's been tiring at times for sure. There's no doubt about that. I've pushed on my volunteers pretty tough, pretty hard at times to keep the momentum going. But we're really pretty grateful to be hopefully trying to be a pillar in the community.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that you've been able to rely on such community support. And I know listeners right now will definitely want to continue supporting Vindeket with COVID restrictions. Obviously, they'll wear masks and things like that. But are
Yeah.
there better times of day for them to go? How can they best utilize Vindeket Foods?
Yeah, well, so we're trying to make some attempts to be open another day of the week, but right now we're just open Sundays from 12 to 3, and from on Tuesdays from 2 to 7. Now there is a special little time zone from 1:30 to 2 p.m., 30 minutes before we open, that we kind of try to reserve for folks, maybe with a little bit more of a compromised immune system, or it's a little slower. But yeah, it's typically pretty busy at the beginning for the first 30 minutes, hour that we're open. A lot of people like to jump in line, and since we can only have a few folks in the space at a time, it kind of can go a little slower. But almost any time, you know, people can come in and go ahead and check out our website and find those times and get on there. And but no matter when you come, there's always going to be something unique or something pretty cool, or even just your regular bread or milk, usually in the shop. But yeah, just keep on coming in, come shop with us, come support us. If you love what we're doing, feel free to make a donation online. And if you'd like to volunteer with us, there's all sorts of fun to be had, rescuing, organizing, collecting, driving. So yeah.
That is awesome. Well, thank you. I was going to say that was going to be my next question, but you got it. I love that they can just go right to your website, sign up to volunteer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Perfect.
definitely.
Perfect. And now, while shopping at Vindeket Foods is clearly one of the number one ways that you can help reduce food waste in the community, what other advice or tips do you have for listeners who want to help reduce food waste in their typical day-to-day lives?
Oh, that's great. That's great. I love that question. Yeah, just normal things like be sure to use all of the items that you buy. Say, one of my favorites is like, say you bought some cilantro to make some tacos or something. Well, maybe the next night, instead of letting that half bunch of cilantro maybe go bad in your fridge, maybe consider making, a Thai dish or something like that from another cuisine or culture, and try to really use everything that you've purchased. And I think a lot of folks are, I don't know if it's not that we're not used to trying new things, but really think outside the box and think about, where that cilantro or where that half-used, can of chickpeas or whatever, how much effort and people along the line touched it or grew it or hauled it, or the oil it took to get there, the water it took, like all those kind of things. There's so many big worldwide points of contact and efforts put into that, that it really is almost such a, there's this really beautiful quote going around, I think the other day, that talked about, before you've even left your house for work in the morning, the coffee you used, maybe the egg you ate, maybe the toast you had, the jam you had, like all those things. Literally, you visited the whole world potentially with the inputs that went into those products that you consumed just for your breakfast or your coffee before you left your house. And it's really pretty wild to think about the international experience that you're undertaking, but really just all the inputs, and all the things that went into that. And so when we're a little bit lazy or we forget or whatever it is, that is kind of a big environmental or worldwide impact.
I love it. I have never even thought about that when I was just eating food I got from the grocery store. And now I'm hungry. I want to make
There you go.
some tacos. There we go. Well,
There you
thank
go.
you so much, Nathan, for taking the time today. It was great to catch up with you again. What else would you like listeners to know about Vindeket Foods?
No, I like to let folks know to come on and check it out. There's a place here for any part that you want to get involved with. Say if you don't need food or don't want to shop, and you can be a volunteer. There's I have a lot of, it's really ran by the community and for the community. And there's a kind of a place here for everyone who wants to get involved in all sorts of different ways. I have just a lot of beautiful support. I had one of my volunteers and her two daughters came in and helped write some thank you notes that we like to give out to donors. And we're just really grateful for just all the people that come out of the community to help us out in all different ways. I have musicians driving trucks for me, and I have moms and dads working with their kids, stocking the shelves, and we're just really grateful for the family kind of that we're rising up over here.
Well, I love that. And again, thank you, Nathan, so much. It was great to talk to you again. And I'm glad that even with everything going on, Vindeket is still going strong. And I'm glad we can let our listeners know about it.
Definitely. Thank you.
Again, that was Nathan Shaw, the founder of Vindeket Foods. Learn more at Vindeket, Vindeket, foods.org.